Welcome everybody. This is our second podcast for QPEG. We're going to provide these podcasts on a regular basis and continue to do this and show you support. Please like, subscribe and leave a comment below. Today's podcast is all about working from home, very popular subject at the moment, but our attempt will be to delve a little deeper into this beyond the surface that everyone seems to be talking about at the moment. Rental cost potentially becomes obsolete if there's no one required to be in the office. It may be a hot desk situation where an office that currently requires a gross floor area of 500 square metres only needs 250, but certainly you would think costs will be going down. So there's a few changes there that may even impact the government at a federal level. If 30% of the population start working from home, they'll be getting a lot less tax coming through the door, potentially.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of hidden costs that people don't think about when you run an office, and like even like the cleaning and just getting the supplies for people to come and congregate in the office, like tea and coffee and stationery. Everyone needs to sit down at a desk, everyone needs a chair, things like that. If you're working from home, you don't need a commute, so you don't need to pay for that parking spot, near work, or you don't need to pay for public transport costs.
That just flags, the industries that will be affected by working from home will be the ones that rely on foot traffic, so hospitality, coffees, food, your JB Hi-Fis. You'll no longer be walking around the CBD. The emphasis on e-commerce will only go up. You've got a greater interaction with your family. It's a good thought process too on schools with this is there's already exists that space in e-commerce with augmented reality. At some point where, say, 20% of the curriculum is done remotely, your required school footprints for the same thing we're talking about with office spaces, schools may not need to be 5 hectares or whatever it may be. That'll reduce all the congestion issues you have with schools, drop-offs, pickups. If your kids are at school, say 4 days out of 5, and that's sort of staggered between the students at the school, however they did that.
And this might come into the urban sprawl aspect, but the commute time, people, one of the big things with working from home is you don't need a commute. So a lot of people, that saves a couple of hours in their day where they can gain that back. They could, go to the gym or do something else.
Yeah, and the big impact from that, metropolitan areas where they're commuting 2 hours one way, you could be living in Toowoomba and working in Brisbane, or living in Brisbane and working in the Gold Coast. There's not a need to drive in there. So A, you've got less congestion on your roads. B, you've got that increased employability, and it puts a lot of opportunities in the government space, because the current risk and issue that they have is the population density, and their growth has always exceeded in the capital cities because everyone flocks there because that's where the work is. But if you don't need to live there to have the work, then they can potentially resolve some of their policies and funds and grants whereby they can put someone in a rural or regional town and prop up their economy whilst they still work in the capital city.
It proves that life point that a lot of people select where they live based on their career and also educational opportunities for their children, I suppose, and themselves. However, if you take that out of the equation, you can live wherever you want.
If there's not the infrastructure demand on highways because people aren't driving them, government doesn't have to devote so much money to new infrastructure projects. If they focus infrastructure funding on fibre optic tech and the Internet of Things, you got less daycare requirements. Governments may not have to be funding so much daycare prop up. So if there's less rebates coming out of government, there's more money from multiple streams. Ergon Energy, Energex, all the power providers, that whole net negative issue that they've got currently from solar panels working through the day when people are working at the office. If you're working at home, that net negative issues potentially resolved.
And I suppose the other thing too, though, is working from home will actually expand the potential opportunities for people looking for jobs. Instead of just looking for a job in your own area, you now have pretty much a lot more opportunities at your disposal to look at because you're not tied down geographically. And also, similarly for people with disabilities, I know a lot of employers, and I know they shouldn't be, but you know, they don't necessarily like, I suppose, employing people with disabilities because they need to go and purchase specialised equipment. However, if that person's working from home, same thing, it opens up a whole lot more opportunities for them.
Thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. Feel free to subscribe and like, and we'll catch you at the next podcast, I guess.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks.